Pope Francis links COVID-19 pandemic with climate change. He also calls on governments to take drastic action to combat climate change. What is the parallel between the COVID-19 pandemic and the climate crisis? And how does it relate to the mark of the beast? Someone left a comment on a video on this channel asking how feasible it would be to enforce Sunday law globally, given that one country doesn't make laws for another, as well as how different religious groups or atheists would react to such a law. Their plans to establish one world government and one world religion, the New World Order, is a strategy to control the whole world, which can help them achieve the global implementation of the Sunday law. In this presentation, we are going to look at what this has to do with the virus-19 pandemic, and what the template or the blueprint for implementing the mark of the beast on a global scale is. Just before we continue, please let me use this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for your comments and for your support of this channel by watching, sharing, liking and subscribing to this channel. By the way, you can support this channel by making a donation using PayPal or a credit card. May God richly bless you for your support. I sincerely appreciate it. Let's get started. So what is the template of the mark of the beast? Now to address this, let us try to make sense of it by drawing a parallel between the virus-19 pandemic and the climate crisis, and see how it can be related to the mark of the beast. Do you still recall this? Just in case you're wondering what COVID-19 has to do with this. I would say very much. The reduction in human activities due to COVID-19 restrictions like movement and a significant slowdown of social and economic activities has had a positive impact on our environment and climate. Looking from this angle of the COVID-19 effects, I won't be surprised, and you shouldn't also be surprised if you wake up one day and all the newspapers are filled with a call for global Sunday rest for the environment to recover. Pope Francis links virus-19 pandemic with care for environment. In his weekly general audience at the Vatican, Pope Francis said the virus-19 pandemic has shown that there is a link between people's health and the state of the environment. He said, to emerge from the virus-19 pandemic, we need to look after and care for each other and also extend this care to what he called our common home, that is the earth, and to every creature. The Pope wants everything that he propagates to combat climate change in his Laudato Si encyclical, including the designation of Sunday as a universal day of rest to be implemented at COP27. Some people, particularly those who are looking for prophetic fulfillment, anticipated some sort of prophecy fulfillment at COP27. But the truth is, the devil never operates that way. One of the steps that help the prophecy come true is COP27. The Bible will not call him a deceiver if he works openly. The Sunday movement is making its way in darkness. The Pope, when addressing world leaders' response to the crisis, called on governments to take drastic action to combat climate change. He said it is time to abandon fossil fuels and move toward clean energy and a sustainable and circular economy. What did he mean when he said it is time to phase out fossil fuels in favor of clean energy and a new economic system? Let's examine what John Kerry said at the UN's COP27 panel meeting to help us understand this. During a COP27 panel discussion in Egypt, U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate Change, John Kerry, unintentionally revealed secret information. He said, "We needed to create demand signals in the market where they didn't exist." Kerry admitted that his goal in his COP27 speech when he said, "We need to create demand signals in the market where they didn't exist," was their plan to destroy the market capitalism that led to a prosperous middle class. The middle class will continue to be independent and capable of critical thought as long as it is prosperous. If you take away their wealth, you also take away their ability to think independently and make their own decisions. Do you see the connection between this and the Pope's call for a new economic system? How they intend to achieve this goal is, they want to artificially create demand for things like solar and wind energy in place of dependable coal and oil. I hope you can see how closely this relates to the Pope's speech where he said that it is time to move away from fossil fuels and toward clean energy. Now, how does this relate to the virus 19? John Kerry said during a COP27 panel discussion in Egypt, that the World Economic Forum's climate change agenda was modeled off the effort to roll out vaccines during the virus 19 pandemic. Did you notice how, during the pandemic, all the nations responded in the same direction? Isn't it interesting when you have not just people responding the same way, but nations? The same decisions were made all over the world even though all the countries retained their sovereignty. On March 12, 2020, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak a global pandemic. In a similar manner, the climate crisis is not confined to a single region but instead spreads across many nations and has a significant impact on many people. The virus 19 required global responses, and now the climate crisis does as well. That's why the world's political leaders, civil and religious leaders are uniting to collectively combat climate change. Towns and cities were locked down, and large gatherings were banned. Museums, schools, religious centers, restaurants, and businesses were closed. Major sporting and musical events were postponed or cancelled. Restrictions were imposed on travelers, preventing visitors from entering, and many flights in and out were restricted or cancelled. Strict self-isolation requirements were in effect all over the world. Anyone found breaking the rules in Hong Kong risked fines or even imprisonment. People's freedom was restricted. You could not go to supermarkets or other public places without proof of vaccination. It even got to a point where some places declared Sunday a no-movement day. Neither the virus 19 pandemic, nor its vaccine is the mark of the beast. However, it provides a template for how the Sunday law will be adopted successfully throughout the world, regardless of one's beliefs or religion. Look at how the virus 19 preventive measures were implemented globally to get an idea of how the Sunday law will be received and implemented. The days of the mark of the beast will be worse than the days of the virus, because the Bible in Daniel 12 verse 1 says there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation. But the verse doesn't end there. The good news from our faithful Father is, everyone whose name is found written in the book of life will be delivered. Just as the virus 19 preventive measures were embraced all over the world, so will the implementation of the mark of the beast or the Sunday worship by law be accepted globally. Anyone who does not worship the image of the beast will be put to death, and if you are not strong in your faith, you will not be able to survive the persecution. You will receive the mark of the beast, and God's judgment will befall you. Seek the Holy Spirit's sovereignty over your soul, spirit, and body, and you will be able to remain faithful to God. Now, the global financial system is changing. To know and understand how this will affect the fulfillment of the no buy or sell prophecy in Revelation 13 verse 17, watch the video on top. The video below is the one that YouTube recommends you watch.